Hi everyone, welcome back and welcome back to Rainbow Crafts, hosted by My World in OKC, Sandra Crafty Mom, and Jody's Craft Room. Today's color is orange, so we're going to be using some napkins to do a little bit of decoupaging, and I am going to do like a longer video than just saying, hey, this is how it looks. This comes in 24 and this comes in 16, and here are the dimensions. You could probably put this little number in right here and pull it up if you're really interested. If you're throwing like a big shindig. Oh, it's only 14 in there. 14 and 24. Okay. So as you all know, I am very much into these 5x7 cards. So when I picked these up because it had more in there, I was like, it's not gonna fit. It's not gonna fit. But then I was like, okay, let's try these. So I didn't know that they were going to be double-sided napkins, which is a plus for us because we can make multiple napkin, multiple cards or multiple whatevers we want to make. So I will try to go, I won't say fast, but not slow. Okay, so medium, I don't know. So I'm going to cut this down right here. Oh my goodness. So the only bad part about cutting this one down, or in either one of them, is that they don't, like, you just barely see a little bit of wraparound right here. Barely a little bit of wraparound. So we're going to try to make it work because we're going to layer this on top of another card to give it a little bit more stability, and then we're going to tape this down to our card base. Okay, so I have cut the card base, the card fronts down from prefabricated cards. So you see this little line. If that line really bugs you, you can go ahead and take it back out as best as possible, but it doesn't really concern me too much, so I'm not worried about it. The napkin's going to do a good job at covering the line up, and since I've been messing with it, we're just going to flip it over. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to gingerly cut this seam down. Now if you have, what I recommend you do, and I've watched people do this and I can say I like it a lot better, is cut your napkin up before you start unlayering it. Like, don't pull it all the pieces apart and then say, oh, I'm gonna put it on there, because I just don't think that would work best. I knew I was gonna do decoupaging today, and I still didn't bring all the materials that I needed to bring. So I watched Tracy from Gift Basket Appeal do this. She uses saran wrap just to smooth out the napkin if you want to have a smoother presentation. I did not bring the cling wrap. I didn't bring it up here. And you're gonna need a glue stick, some type of glue. I prefer glue sticks in this regard. And you see how it is too small for the paper, and we don't want this ugly cut side on there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to fix that and come right back. Okay, so this is the plan. You have your card base. Then we're going to have our layer piece. And I'll put it at the bottom. Then we're going to have this on top of there. And where this line is, I think I may put like a ribbon or something. I don't know. We'll see. So we're going to put all of this, the brown pieces, to the side for now. And we're going to work on our napkin. We have two pieces. And now what we're going to do is I want this portion to stay in, or stay, most of it I want to stay on there. So I'm going to go ahead and snip some of this off. Actually, I will mark it if I can remember. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull my pliers apart. Okay, so this is how it looks. No ply. Sometimes, even though you see how thin this is, sometimes some napkin companies still have another little ply on it, so you have to be careful of that. I'm just using some HEB. HEB is a grocery store here in Texas, and it's really, really prominent in San Antonio. Like, besides Walmart and Target, like super Targets or whatever, we don't have other food stores to compete with HEB. Not grocery stores, at least. So now I'm just going to put this on here as gingerly as possible, and I'm just going to smooth it down with my finger. Now, remember, when you're using glue and napkins, if you put it down too hard, too rough, like I'm kind of rubbing it real rough, and I need to keep this in mind, it will, and it does tear. It will tear, and you don't want that. You don't want your stuff to tear. You also, if you want a smooth effect, you don't want it to ripple up either. So what I am going to do is I'm going to try my best to do this a little bit more caringly than I normally do it. And then I'm just going to put this on the back, and I'm not concerned about the back portion, but I do want to fold over my napkin onto the back. That's why I left some of the ply on. Again, well, these scissors have sticky stuff on them from another project I worked on. But I'm just cutting the sides down. I think people call it mitering. And I'm going to cut that as well. So just cut these sides down. And the bad thing about, in my opinion, glue that I don't know and don't trust, I don't know how well HEB Buddy glue sticks are going to work. I mean, essentially you would think all glue is created the same, right? But that's not true, and we know that. You know, a lot of people love art glitter glue for its drying effect, but it's a glue at the Dollar Tree that does something just as similar. It's a little bit less expensive. So it's something that, you know, people that craft on a budget or more sensible budgets than just buying it because other people have it do. But I think from using both of them, I think I like art glitter glue a lot better. Just because it comes all pre-ready to go. You don't have to worry about it. I know some people don't like it, and they use other things. I just say whatever makes you happy. Because I didn't, you know, I saw people using Tombow glue, and I was like, what's so big? What's the big deal about Tombow glue? And I used the Tombow tape adhesive, and I was just like, I love it. And I went to the store to look at the price, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stick with whatever I was using at the time. But then if you've noticed, I don't use as much tape to adhere things down as I used to because I don't like tape that much for some of the projects that I do. Because, you know, especially living in a hotter climate, it can make the glue, the adhesive stuff come apart. Whereas glue, you know, if you put enough glue down, it's going to stay stuck for a while. And some projects, you know, like this is going to be a card. If someone gives this card to someone, people throw cards in the trash. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I know a lot of crafters, you know, this is something I've discussed before, and I think over time my opinion has flip-flopped. But I think, especially since I make some of my projects to sell, people that buy this and give it to somebody may throw it in the trash too. Is it any different? Maybe it could be a little bit different because, you know, they purchase your workmanship and you don't know what's going to happen to that at the end. But I feel like I shouldn't have any other, I should feel the exact same way I do about someone purchasing a card versus me giving a card to someone. Because once you've created the card, it's no longer your card. It's the person that you choose to give it to. I know a lot of people have their stuff sitting in their boxes to keep because they don't know if they're going to be able to give it to people, and they're going to love it as much as they love it. But I just think, you know, if you're creating to share that beauty, even if it's for a little bit. I have kept most of all of my cards, and for good reason. Like, you know, my mom's not here anymore, so if I really wanted to go down a painful lane, I could just go down and look at all the stuff she ever, you know, cards she gave me. Like when I was growing up, I used to put money, like dollars, in cards for them, and she would do the same. When I say them, I mean her and my aunt, and she would do the same thing. So I have cards that still have, like when I turned 21, like $21 or whatever, in there. So, or I would tape in, like when my aunt turned a certain age, I would tape in change to equal up her age. You know, back then the post office was a little bit less crazy about certain things versus now. Okay, so you see how this is off the edge, which is so perfect. Look at that, really cool. I do have a little air bubble here, and to get rid of your air bubbles, you know, you want to smooth it over. Maybe I didn't get enough adhesive, enough glue there, but you want to rub it down so gingerly, not to rip your card. And this napkin, even though it's a Dollar Tree napkin, it's pretty tough from what I'm noticing. So we're going to do the same thing we did at the bottom. I mean, at the top. We're going to do that at the bottom, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I am ready to assemble the card. So I want to talk about it really quickly. Let's see. Yep, this is the second one I did, and I got a little bit crazy, and I tore it right here, if you can see it, but that's okay. The orange is shining through, which is great. Again, remember that if you are using anything wet on paper, it's going to bow it a little bit. It's going to make it go crazy. And then I use brush corduroy. I think I like brush corduroy. I use it on this piece right here. I just thought that this piece would go in, and this is the Luxe Lounge. I talked about this in one of the videos I did for the Christmas in July hop. So we're going to slide this to the side. And the reason why I'm putting that to the side, well, the reason why I decided to do another layer piece, I'm getting crazy with all these layers, is because, let's put on the right side, Brandy. This, I just did not like how it was looking. I need to cut that down some. But I did not like how that would have looked on the sides. Then with this on top of there, I just did not like it. But with this, because it's still orange, and it looks very fallish in my opinion. With that, then this brown, which I need to trim down just a little bit. I feel like that goes together. All the things kind of line up. Let me go ahead and trim down. All right, so here we are ready for assembly. I've done a few things. I just want to discuss it with you in case, you know, you don't know whether to use glue or tape or whatever. So on this card, which we're going to put our card front on, and I'm going to talk about it. What I did is I just glued the base down. I glued the brown onto this goldish color orange so that it could stick down, because I was going to use tape on the back of this, and I decided to use the Demon Tape. If you don't know what the Demon Tape is, it is from when I did a collective, I think I did a collective dollar store hauls video, and I talked about going to the dollar store, and I only had like $20 on me. And I only spent like 10 or 11 or something like that, because I was on the hunt for something and they didn't really have it, but I wanted this, and it was 2 rolls of tape for $1. Well, the problem with this tape, as you can see, it gets gunky. It's super, super sticky. So if you really want some tape like this, then this would be the tape for you. Unfortunately, it's not forgiving like the other foam tape is, so you would have to keep that in mind. And it gets all over your hands because it's super sticky. I don't know if that's how the manufacturer intended for it to be or not. I mean, it's good tape, right? Because it does what it's supposed to do, and then some. It sticks down to you and everything else. Let's see. Okay, we need to just trim this just a little. And hopefully, oh, yep, it got all over me. So, I was going to say, hopefully it doesn't get all over me, but it did. And now we're just going to burnish it down, rub it down some really, really well, because we want it to adhere to the back of that side. And then when we get ready to pull up these layering pieces, the tape pieces, we want it to adhere to the other side as well. And as sticky as this stuff is, I really don't need to do that. But you see, when you are using wet glue, sometimes, you know, it tends to bow your projects. It bows your paper a little bit, which is fine, because eventually it'll smooth out to some degree. But we just want to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to pull this off. So here I'm using a mixture of tape and glue for the adhesive, because if I feel like for me, if I did all wet glue, it would bow. And you know, I just said in the same video that I like wet glue a lot better than adhesive tape. But in some instances, I feel like you need to use them because you may want them to dry quicker, and again, you don't want your project going. So make sure you get it open to the right side. Now with this tape, you have to be very, very sure of where you are going. And the good thing about our card front going onto the base is that I pretty much cut it the size of the card minus a few measurements. So as you can see, this is how it's going to look. And now we have 2 layers on our card. I'm just doing the front and back, or back and front. And now we are going to put our finished layering piece. So again, we glued this down with wet glue, and so now I want to put adhesive, and it's going to look like that once we're finished. All right, so here we are with our completed orange themed cards from napkins. So we got 2 for 1, right? We did some decoupaging and we got some pretty layering, which is cool. I enjoyed this a lot. You know, I've just started to get more in depth in layer, which is fun. I hope that you've enjoyed it too. Please check the hashtag out and see what the other wonderful makers have created for us on this wonderful day. I want to say thank you all for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.